Hello. Welcome, come on in. Guys, this is really going to be, I'll let everybody come in. Jessica, woo. I always think I have this set up right and then it turns on and my lighting's all off. Let's go this way. Hi, Melissa. Oh, you know, for some reason, it's still keeping my comments sideways. Ah, there we go. Hi, Joanne. All right. This one, guys, is really kind of a Periscope basics. So if you're pretty familiar with Periscope and you're really comfortable with how to do it, oh, good. Put your name in the comments. I have a lot of new followers. That's why I'm doing this actually, but I don't know everyone's name yet. Oh, another North Carolina resident. I am in Raleigh. So hi, Hope. I think we were talking on another scope at some point. So if you think that you have some followers who might be interested, you are welcome to share this. If you are new to periscoping, I think on the Apple, hi Jamie and Christy. Oh, hey Christy, I know that name. You can swipe to the right and you'll have the option to share on Twitter or with your Periscope followers or I think on Facebook. And I think on an Android, you swipe up or down. I'm not sure what it is. I don't have an Android. Sorry. But I know there's been a lot of talk on Facebook, especially as more people have gotten into scoping about concern over their children on the scopes, concern over, excellent, swipe up on the Android, and then you can share. Concern over some of the nasty followers we're all getting, the pornographic sites, and what to do about that. So I thought I would just do a little quick course on some of the options for Periscope and what I do to prevent some of the nastiness. You can't prevent it all. You do have to regularly block people, but I have 700 people blocked now. So I am on that. So I will share how we have done it here and how I protect my kids, because my kids do have a Periscope account. My individual children do not, but we have one for the family that they can use called Wilson Kids.
Go check us out, we're amazing.
Called Brave Wilsons. So I'll just kind of walk you all through all that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually turn this to face my iPad. Let me go ahead and unlock it. I always forget the code for the family iPad. And I have this set up. Yeah, they are at Brave. Okay, I have this set up so we could see the iPad and go over the options on Periscope. Actually, I don't know if this is gonna work. Here we go. This is my kids, the Wilsons. So the way I have done it is my phone is set up for my account and the family iPad is set up for my kids. So what I'm gonna do first is show you the options when you go to scope. That's this button here, sorry. These buttons down here are, this one, the TV shows you who's scoping. This shows you can search by map. I never use that. This is to scope. Occasionally I do with a news story. And this shows you information about followers. So let's go over the buttons when you go to scope. When you go to do a scope, this is where you write your title. A lot of people, the first scope, they broadcast it without a title because they forget this part, which I could understand because it can be nerve-wracking. I actually, when I type my title, I always copy it. I select all and copy it because it never fails for me that I get a phone call or something happens and Periscope shuts down and then I have to type the whole thing again. And if you get interrupted during your scope, it's really, or if you're in a hurry for a hop, it's nice to have it ready. If you get interrupted and you have to do a take two, it's really nice to be able to quickly hit paste and have your title come back up. So that was just a little trick someone taught me when I first started scoping, is type in your title and then quickly copy it. And then you'll just have it in the clipboard if you need it again. Sorry, that was my alarm. This is location. This will share exactly where you are if you want to when you're scoping. I have only done this when I have scoped from a vacation spot. So I did a scope from the top of a mountain in Asheville, North Carolina, and I thought it was a good one to share the exact location. I don't do this when I'm scoping at home, and of course for my children, they always keep it off. But if you are somewhere like Disneyland and you want to allow people to search that by map, that's a fun way to do it. This is the privacy button. I actually use this a lot. You can do private broadcasts. One thing you can do is you can select all mutuals. That means everyone that you are following who also follows you, it has to go both ways, will be the only people who can see the scope. So it's a perfect way if you're nervous to keep out nasty people or random people, because it's only going to be the mutual relationship you have with people. That does mean if people are following you and you aren't following them back, they would not be invited. So you just have to make sure anyone you would want to be included on this option, that you are following them and they are following you. You can also go through and pick individual people. I do this all the time. I scope for my family a lot. Okay, these are all Apple. So you'll have to check Android to see if Select All Mutuals is on there. I understand that darn spell check is getting you on that one. But you can go through and you can select individual people. So when I'm doing a family scope, I select my cousin and my father, and I go through and I will pick my uncles right here, and I will just select family. And after you select a few people, so there's my dad and there's my cousin, you see down here it says make private, and it tells you how many people you selected. So if I am scoping my son's soccer game for family, I'm just going to select a few family members and make it private. That way, all of my followers who follow me for homeschool and parenting stuff and randomness aren't being bothered with the soccer game or the gymnastics practice or the birthday party. Some of that is fun sometimes, but I like to do family scopes. And the nice thing about scoping for family is then the grandparents, they have 24 hours to watch what I scoped for them. So they don't have to be available at that moment, but they have 24 hours to watch their grandkids doing something. So it's a little nicer in that way than FaceTime, because they don't have to be available at the soccer game for me to FaceTime them. I can just Periscope it. So that's been a lot of fun. Yeah, there's my father. That's him. So I'm going to go ahead and deselect these. The only thing, you can just use a camera. The only downside about a private scope is it will not save to catch or announce on Twitter. So if you want to keep the scope, then at the end of it, you need to save it to your camera roll. When your scope ends, there's an option at the bottom to save to camera roll. And you'll want to do that if you want to keep the video. All right, so this next little box, this is for commenters. This is one way to easily prevent creepy people from commenting. You can turn this on and either everybody can chat during your scope or only people that you follow can chat. The downside to that is if you're not following them, then they're not going to be able to chat. So you have to decide on that one. I thought you could do it so that people following you can chat, but that's not the option there. And this, of course, just turns the Twitter announcement on and off. I always have that on because I do like it announced to Twitter. All right, now let's talk about blocking people. All right, I left someone nasty on my kids' account. First thing to talk about was my kids. I check their account every morning. It's just kind of when I'm checking mine, I check theirs. Before they go do a scope, they bring it to me and I check the followers. I really don't want them in here. Unfortunately, Periscope is not doing a good job of preventing the pornographic clickbait sites. And so some of the images that I have had to see are horrible. I don't need to expose my kids to that. They are not doing a good job. And I have emailed them and I have encouraged other people to contact them and let them know that they need to improve this, just like Facebook and Instagram and other places, because the nasty people just show up in your followers. You do not get a notification saying this person started following you. where you do for real people. So one thing to remember is a lot of these nasty people, they do not, they are just robots. They're just fake sites set up to be clickbait. So when you look at their profile, there's usually a web address for you to click to go see more. They're not actual people who will come into your scope and comment. So you just kind of have to remember that. Now, occasionally I've gotten some weird people commenting, so it does happen. But for the most part, these are just clickbait. So I'm going to show you, I kept a picture that's not too nasty here. Oh, this is followers, or who they're following. Who is following them? Okay. Oh, it's gone. Okay, well, when you go in and you look at the followers, let's say I actually know Melissa at Life Rooted, but let's say I didn't know her, okay? You can click on their profile, and the one thing I always look at right away is I look at who is this person following, because that's going to give me an idea of who they are. Are they following other homeschool moms? Are they following names I recognize? Or are they following a bunch of nasty sites? And if they are, I'm going to block them right away. But when I look here at Melissa, who I know, I see other names that I know, like Carol, and I see Amanda, who's on this scope too, and I say, oh, okay, well, Melissa's obviously in the homeschool crowd. I'm going to leave her here. But then I always look at their followers. I know, I wish you could just swipe and block. I do too. I really hope that they improve this. And I always look at the followers of my followers to swipe out any bad ones. Melissa has kept her account nice and clean, so there's no one here that we need to block. But the way you do block someone, and I'm not going to actually block Melissa, but you hit this gear right here, and you have the option here to block the user. Oh, that's a great idea, to tweet the link after. That's how I do it on Facebook, since it doesn't connect to Facebook. And then you can just block them. And that's what I do. So every time I get a notification that someone new has started following me, I always look at who they follow and who follows them. And then before you scope, you can just go in here and look at your followers and just make sure that you've taken out all the nasty ones. Those are great ideas. Okay, it has 3 menu dots instead of the gear. So if you are on an Android and you bring someone up, you're looking for 3 little dots here. And they don't show you notifications of the bots and the clickbait. But what you will see here in the description usually is some sort of invitation to come see their site. And there will be a web address. So I always look at these profiles. Usually I check people that have the egg here who have not put a profile pic. Sometimes that is a big heads up, though Natasha is not, because I have checked there. I don't want to make anyone, yeah, I've checked there. And her followers and who she's following are fine. So that's just how I do it. And you do that every time before you scope. And if you have time in the evening or when you're thinking about it, yeah, a lot of people will just block any of the eggs. But if you do this on your phone, these pictures stay a little smaller, which I prefer. And if I see a lot of skin, block. It's gone. A lot of people on the beach in bikinis and things like that, and even nastier than that. And yes, you have to do it when the kids are not around. I agree. A future hope. I think that is what I'm hoping, is that they will find a way to stop letting the bots around the system, because somehow the porn sites are somehow starting to follow us without us having to give the approval. And that's what the problem is. But for the most part, again, those people are, it's just a robot site created. So it's really gross to see and it's nasty, but it's typically not going to be someone who speaks in your broadcast. So following through hashtags, that's interesting to note how they do it. Okay. Yeah, and you have to be careful in your title. I was even worried about putting the word privacy in this title, because that can attract certain types of people. So you have to think about what the words in your title could convey if you had a nasty mind. So I almost put in my title private scoping, and I thought, private scoping might attract people thinking I'm talking about something else. So you just have to be careful. Enchanted, I don't know. I don't know. I've only used Enchanted in there a few times. And I've only had nasty people come and comment one time, and I have scoped like 150 times and only one time. And that's when for Halloween, I was being Effie Trinket and I was showing how to do makeup for Effie Trinket. And that was one that a lot of nasty men decided to pop in on. So yeah, I could see Deshelle, addiction would be a word. Gotta watch addiction. Even if you're talking about your happy planner addiction, you can't do that one. You know, Erin, I don't know. I have 700 people blocked, so I stay on top of the blocking, and maybe that helps. I don't know though, because I do scope a lot, and I know when I first started, there you go, they push your first broadcast more than others. That's interesting. So it's easier to get trolls. So you just kind of have to stay aware. But I just wanted to go through some of the stuff because I know it's freaking some people out. Not everyone knows all the features of Periscope yet. And you do. You just have to keep blocking people, even when you're new. They follow the hashtags. So they get the Brave Scope hashtag or the Homeschool Scope hashtag or whatever it is. But I know I have gone through, and some of my most recent followers do not clear out their followers. I blocked over 15 people last night from one follower. So